Hey, welcome back, folks. This is Babbaginator. We're in the long dark. We're currently preparing to head to. I think originally we were going to go to Mystery Lake, but I'm starting to think we should just go to Timberwolf Mountain, run to the gold mine in Ash Canyon, hit the summit, and get out. So let's see what we can do. Still kind of gusty. See if we can afford to wait an hour here. But yeah, with the extra matches, we now have the ability to do stuff like that. Okay. Perfect. Like this. Okay, we still have 15 matches. I think that should be enough to get us to the just where we need to go. One second here. Readjust my windows. Okay. Okay. You may or may not be able to tell, but my backdrop has changed slightly. I have been packing books. Though my bookcases are empty behind me, which is a moment of sadness. But it is necessary. The big move is coming up. Block, block, block. Up a block. And stretch. And flap. You get a flap in there too. Hydrate. What? Already with the dissertate. Okay. Okay, folks, we're gonna read something from my dissertation here in a sec. First, we're gonna make our way down the road here. Yeah, we found matches last stream, so we went from having only 4 matches left to now having 15 matches. So, we will use that to get ourselves into position. I think we're going to make a run for Timberwolf Mountain and Ash Canyon. Okay, so let's see here. Okay, so EG has requested me to read from my dissertation, so we're going to pull that up here in a second. Dissertation, final version. Okay. Okay, let's pick up from where we left off then. In the introduction. Yeah, we had talked a little bit about... Okay, I think we'll just pick up from here. I think we ended on this one, but we'll use this as a starting point. So I wrote a dissertation for my PhD, and my dissertation was called 19th Century Artificial Intelligences, Thinking Machines, Mechanical Minds, and the Victorian Detective. And I kind of trace a line from the automaton chess player, the Turk, which was a fake machine, all the way through to Sherlock Holmes, and look at the evolving idea around thinking machines and mechanical thought and artificial intelligence. So how does a machine become a person in the 19th century? So we'll kind of drop in midway through the introduction here. Many deep philosophical questions underlie this dissertation. What does it mean to be human? What traits define us as uniquely human, and have those definitions changed as technology and science have called into question previous definitions of thinking, mind, soul, and heart? Can a non-human become a person? Can thinking and logic be mechanized? And if so, what would the resulting mechanized mind look like? What constitutes a thinking machine? What would the mind of a thinking machine be like? Can a human think like a machine? To address the full ramifications of all these questions goes far beyond the scope of this project, but to some degree I hope to acknowledge these questions and the ways in which they drove and changed the perception of what a thinking machine might be, and what to make of a non-human machine intelligence. I rely on certain key terms throughout this dissertation. In my efforts to reconsider the history and genealogy of artificial intelligence, I have chosen to define artificial intelligence as any sentient being or object constructed from inanimate materials by a human creator. In this respect, the term will encompass more specific terms such as thinking machine and mechanized mind. I will use the term machine-like thinker to describe those human characters who adopt a machine's subjectivity and perspective, performing the idea of machine thinking while operating in a liminal space between human and machine. The Victorian detective figure, as represented by Poe's Dupin and Doyle's Sherlock Holmes, is an example of this type of human thinking machine. This dissertation employs a study of material culture, examining not only the primary texts, but also the surrounding articles, reviews, journal entries, and other ephemera that speak to how these figures and ideas were being received by the general public. I also draw comparisons between texts and note the ways in which earlier work and arguments informed later interactions of the idea of a thinking machine and the nature of the machine-other subject. In constructing my arguments and establishing my claims related to the machine thinker figure in the 19th century, I have benefited greatly from the scholarly work of Pamela McCorduck, Don E. Lauza, and Min-Soo Kang, each of whom writes about the broad history of thinking machines and automaton figures. Likewise, Doran Swade's detailed considerations of the history and significance of the difference engine, and Anthony Hyman's thorough examination of the life and work of Charles Babbage have both been extremely helpful in the chapter exploring the connection between Babbage's engines and the creation of Sherlock Holmes. In the first chapter, I argue that the key to the transformation from object to person was the appearance and performance of von Kempelen's automaton chess player. By close reading contemporary eyewitness accounts of the Turk, Dutton's, Windich, I argue that the Turk challenged prevailing ideas of what constituted a machine by presenting a machine in the guise of a person. Not only did von Kempelen offer the spectacle of a material machine that masqueraded as a human, which in fact was a human masquerading as a machine, masquerading as a human. He did so while having it interact and respond meaningfully to changing situations and to reflect an awareness that suggested something quite immaterial, some sort of mind or soul. Even as its machine nature was continually performed, the Turk was also consciously constructed as a person, in its attire, in activity, in wit and reason, and in chess-playing prowess. Its person was further emphasized by the ways spectators and opponents described the Turk, pronouns and descriptions in their accounts, as well as the narratives the Turk presented about himself, being born, having a harem, possessing opinions and humor. Even after physical embodiment of the Turk was destroyed in a fire, the literary and historical personhood of the Turk is cemented in the public consciousness with the 1857 publication of Silas Weir Mitchell's Obituary for the Turk. Finally, I examined the way in which the figure of the chess-playing automaton becomes a literary trope and a recurring figure in the late 19th century short stories, in particular operating as an ambiguous figure of possibly murderous inclination in Ambrose Bierce's story Moxon's Master, 1893. I close the chapter by pointing to the ways that even as an eventually exposed fake, the Turk enabled a public discourse around the possibility of a thinking machine, and the ways in which personhood might be extended to certain types of machine figures. Let's see. In the second chapter, I contend that if the Turk opened the door to the imagining of the machine person as a reality, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, or the modern Prometheus, 1818, created a space in fiction for a more complete exploration of what personhood for an artificially constructed non-human intelligence might be. I begin the chapter by addressing the problematics of including a seemingly organic creation in a discussion of machine others by unpacking the term automaton and tracing the ways in which contemporary definitions and usages of the terms machine, automaton, and artificial might have informed Mary Shelley's imagining of the creature and its description. Through careful examination of the novel's multiple narratives, I argue that not only does Shelley offer a range of human perspectives on the constructed other, she also provides the created being a voice of its own, imagines how the mind of such a being might develop into an intellect to rival a human's, and represents the emotional and moral consequences of its human creator's abandonment of parental duty. In giving us a sympathetic, if troubling, representation of the interior, emotional, and psychological reality of the constructed other, I suggest that Shelley provides a blueprint for future writers interested in similar explorations of agency, will, and rebellion in non-human, mechanical, biological, and alien others. I further argue that even this representation of selfhood and personhood is an artificial construction, a conscious creation of narrative calculated by the creature to elicit empathy from those that hear it and to bridge or interrogate the gap between the non-human and the human. I close the chapter by noting the ways in which the 19th century public seemed unwilling and unprepared to accept this nuanced representation of the constructed other. To illustrate, I turn to the dramatic interpretations of her work, examining what happens to the creature in Richard Peake's 1823 staging of Presumption, or The Fate of Frankenstein, and in subsequent accounts of its performance. I note that Peake's recasting of the creature as a terrifying yet awkward being with barely animal levels of intellect reflects a public more willing to empathize with human characters than with the creature. The chapter concludes by arguing that the silencing of the creature, both on stage and in reviews and later parodies, reflects a willful cultural amnesia or blindness to the emergence of a set of existential crises centered around the questions: what is a soul? What is thinking? Can life and intelligence be produced through modern science? Or is that the sole domain of a divine creator? Is there anything unique about the human being? Okay, so we'll pause there. So that's the first two chapters in summary. So as is common in these dissertation introductions, you go through and you give a chapter breakdown and an overview of what you're going to cover in those chapters. And of course, you write the introduction after you write the chapters. So you try your best to summarize what you already wrote, as opposed to like make the case for writing about something and then actually don't write about those things. A little dry tonight here. Okay, so we're marching. So we could go up there. So we decide we're going to Timberwolf Mountain. So I think that's the plan. So it means we have to go through PV. So we're going to go back through PV. And do we have any feathers? We do. Anything else? Nope. We've never searched this guy?
This stuff will come in handy.
Okay. So yeah. Ah! Don't do that.
Cold is making my head feel
Thankfully, we have tons of bandages right now, so. So yeah, I think one of the things we want to do is we want to get to the... What? Again? Man. Hey, Laszlo. So since we picked up another set of matches and now have like 15 matches, we are going to make a trip over to Timberwolf Mountain, I think. So there's not going to be any matches in Mountaineers because that's actually where we spawned. We're on our way out of. Yeah, we've already looted this place. We're on our way out of Coastal Highway. We're going to Timberwolf Mountain, and then from there we're going to go. Is there anything we missed? Nope. Nothing else. Okay. How are we doing for cloth? Well, yeah. We're on our way out. We finished, we forged, right? And we crafted a bow. Oh, yeah, so we found a hammer. And when we turned around and came back.
Okay, that didn't work.
So yeah, we got a hammer down in the ravine, of all places. I didn't think you could find a hammer in the ravine. But we climbed down into the lower ravine, and we found a hammer down there in the cave. And so suddenly the whole thing changed. We now could forge. So we raced back, last couple streets, we raced back to Desolation Point and forged. But in the process, almost ran out of matches. So it was kind of a close call. We did manage to find another set of matches when we got back to Coastal Highway. In a fishing hut of all places, but we weren't expecting that. So. Yeah, neither did I. I was convinced I was going to have to go all the way to Mystery Lake to find a hammer, but yeah, apparently you can get one.
Sure getting cold.
Don't need that. So we've got like, I think we have 8 arrows, 1 bow, and 22 arrowheads that we haven't turned into arrows yet. But we're good for now. We'll just keep slowly like adding arrows to our collection as we have feathers and time. Okay, there we go. Apparently cold. Yeah. Yeah, so we got spared. We were at 4 matches in Coastal Highway, and I was like, I don't know if we can get to Mystery Lake on 4 matches if the weather keeps turning on us. I was like, and we tried to stretch it out as long as we could, but it was looking a little grim. And then we lucked out. But yeah, I've never heard of a hammer in the ravine. That's like a new one on Outerloper. So I think our goal is to make it through here. We'll probably sleep in, what is it, Hilltop Cave? Get to the other side. And then we'll make a plan for going to Timberwolf Mountain.
Did I say I hate being cold? Because I really do.
See if we get more coal or not. Some of these mines like have really fast respawns and others don't. Let's see, is there anything hiding? No, nothing hiding. Nope. Getting some coal. So I think tomorrow morning I'm going to make some time and go for a haircut. Can't believe it's my birthday this Sunday. I'll be back in Saskatchewan.
I need something to eat.
Yep, I'll be turning old. Numbers, the odometer turns over, and I'm not happy about that. I could do without the numbers turning over. Into a new decade. I do a good job of looking young, I think. I generally pass as being much younger than I am. Okay, I see. Yeah, I get that point, yeah. I think age is just a number. Largely. I think your attitude, your activity level, but I think a lot of it is mental. It's like if you are mentally active, emotionally engaged with the world, like there are things you're passionate about and excited about, and you're socially engaged with others, then I think ultimately age is of little consequence. You will have moments in which you will feel culturally disconnected from other people. It's like, yeah, that's not really what I grew up with. But there are other moments where you find, like, you know, despite like a big age gap, we actually have a ton in common. And so that's generally how I feel. I think like graduate school reminds me of the ways in which there's still a lot of overlap between like who I am and what I care about and people that are a lot younger than me. And at the same time, like that often I feel more connected with, because of the nature of the work I do in the arts and in technology, that I feel more at home with people who are younger, because they tend to be more invested in that type of an intersection. Whereas people more my age are like thinking about retirement and their 401ks. Haha, jokes on them. Yeah. Yeah, it's mostly, it's what you make of it, right? So I mean, I recognize there's some things I'm just not doing anymore. It's just like, no, I just don't have the the physical capacity to do these things anymore. Like, you will not catch me driving 14 hours straight across the country. That's not happening anymore. I just like, no, if I have to do a trip somewhere, the best I could do is maybe about 12 hours. And I would prefer to keep it at 10 hours, you know. I don't do all-nighters, you know. Like when I was working in the games industry, I would do all-nighters. Totally messed me up, but I could do them. But these days, it's like, if I get a point where I'm just drifting off, that's it. I just shut down and go to bed. Like, it's like, there's no amount of, I will not be productive after a certain point. If I can feel myself drifting off, it's like, it's time for bed. Yeah, I'm not as, I mean, I was never super fast at typing, but I'm a slightly slower typer. Some things have less to do with age. I mean, age is a factor, but more to do with me being out of shape. And I need to work on that. I think that's my goal this summer. So I've got 2 months in which I'm working, but not, don't have classes, like don't have regular classes going on. I think it's a perfect time, and since most of the work I do is remote work, that's a perfect time for me to just like budget time in my schedule to exercise, go for walks. And since I'm living on my own and will have no one that I have to compete with for refrigerator space, I can make better, smarter investments in food and, you know, make food, store it in the fridge, you know, eat it over the next few days. Instead of like, because of us sharing 4 people, 1 fridge, I just couldn't, you know, I got out of the habit of making a batch of food and breaking it up into smaller portions because there was no room in the fridge for me to store like more Tupperware, so. You like to swim when you have time at the gym. I've noticed a lot of people, like, they shift to swimming as their exercise and get a little bit older. It makes sense if I like swimming more. But, oh, look at this. There's a sewing kit here we missed. Okay. Welcome to PV. Stairs. Yeah, I've been thinking about that too.
Come on, little fire.
The building I'm in right now, I use the stairs going down, but I admit that I'm usually too lazy to take the stairs going up. But I should. Okay, we got 64 coal. We're rocking and rolling here. Oh, our coal. Yeah, 64 bits of coal, right? Yep. Okay, we want to make some birch bark tea. Let's see if we can... No, don't turn windy on us. where are we at with our lifelines? We got no lifelines left. Okay, so we should plan on finding caves to sleep in. Oh, we're out of teas already? Yeah, I think we're staying here. This wind looks a little aggressive. Okay, realistically, I don't think we're going to need 64 pieces of coal, but...
I'll die if I don't get some food soon.
Got some porridge. Oh, now we can make more tea. Oh, we were probably out of water, that's why. Right? Yeah. Make more water here. Yeah, kind of gusty out there. So recipes give cooking XP for both the prep phase and the collection phase. Oh, I didn't know that. That's pretty cool. Okay, let's see how we're doing here. Almost cooking 4. Yeah, the rosehip pies are pretty cool too. But yeah. Okay, we're not ashamed to sleep in this cave. That one's done. I haven't. I've heard about those, but I haven't tried that. What can we do here? 4 pieces of cloth. We could fix something. What do we want to fix? Tear this one apart. Oh, let's fix this one. Everything's fine for now. I'd like to get some better boots, but...
I'm gonna need to eat soon.
Yeah, that's the thing with the custom modes, is like trying to figure out what's going to work best for you. What's going to be enjoyable and challenging.
Can you eat trees?
Well, we're ready for a cross-country trip now. Or not. Then we do
I think my stomach is eating itself.
a 15 matches.
Come on, little fire. Come on.
I used to play, there was a while where I was experimenting with Bow Stalker, which is basically Stalker,
Perfect.
but no guns. So you have the extra wolves, you have some helpful early spawns for bow, and maybe a few arrows in a few places. I liked it. It was loot was a little bit more plentiful. But it was fun. It was a good intermediate step before I went to Loper. Yeah. It's interesting. After you get used to playing Interloper, going back to the other settings is different. Oh, the wind died down. No, and then it went away. Easy come, easy go. Hey Slinger, how's it going? We arrived in Pleasant Valley again, but this time weather is being unpleasant. We have a lot of coal on us right now. Too much, actually. So our choice is either use it or just dump it in a pile, but we're using it. "28 days. Oh, we're so close. I should probably make some more tea. Cooking 4 without killing a bear or a moose. Just cooking a lot of teas. Okay. The annoyed cat redeem gets you the sound of an annoyed cat. My part of my repertoire of cheesy. I can do cat imitations, apparently. So that's what you get: annoyed cat imitations. I do not send you an annoyed cat, although that would be funny. Yeah, I'm not annoying cats on my stream, no. Guess we're dealing with our cabin fever somehow. Yes, very much so, yeah. No actual cats were annoyed, unless they were reacting to my sound of an annoyed cat.
I'm so hungry. Man. Do we stay or do we go? The wind is still pretty bad. Okay, that's 10.
51. Yeah, cabin fever's gone. Oh. So let's think here. Tomorrow I will probably not be streaming because if I stream it'll be late. But yeah, I have a meeting with my composer tomorrow night, so we're supposed to be just working on one thing. And then Thursday night I think is probably my last stream before I head back to Saskatchewan for a week. But we were talking last night about maybe I could do some like software development streams where I'm working on my interactive fiction game instead. So it'd be like probably no cam, just me talking on mic while working on doing playthroughs and working on the game. I'm for that. I'm totally for that. I also have some like generator stuff I'm working on too, rewriting my JavaScript generators for RPG stuff. So I might also, I don't know if I'll stream that. It's probably less exciting, but this is really converting what I did into something a little bit more organized. So. Ooh. 4 pieces of cloth. A Zork plugin. You mean like something in chat? We add some sort of chat bot that had like Zork-like features, or like at least some sort of simple text adventure features? I don't know, I've thought about that. I've thought about it. Actually, I was going to look into that, and maybe that's something I'll do on my break. See what I could write. Okay. Looks like we're having porridge tonight, folks. Tea's done already. Oh, another Aurora. Yeah, if I wrote something to write a chat game. Yeah, I've been wondering about writing some sort of a. I wanted to write some sort of chat bot at one point, but back then it was a little bit rustier, and I was like, I don't know if I want to do it. But these days, I'm like having to study all sorts of different languages and tools and web tools for my new job that I feel less daunted by writing a chatbot. I think I probably could do something to that effect. I'm going to just pause for a second and do a quick lookup on that. So it looks like you could do it with JavaScript or probably Python. It might be a good project to do it as a Python. Hmm. Yeah, I think I should give it a try. I'll do that. I have a. Today I met with. So work is underway at this point, doing well. Oh, hold on a second. Okay, let's see here. So yeah, work is underway. We had a meeting with a client today. So this is for my university job where we basically help research and come up with solutions, tech solutions for different projects that people are working on. And so we, yeah, it's an interesting one. This is one related to using computer vision and document transcription AI. So yeah, we talked about some of the other approaches, and then I demoed, what I discovered using Microsoft Azure's document intelligence for this particular project. So the project revolves around photographs or PDFs of PDFs of images of legal transcripts, like their court proceedings. These are historical documents, and so they're typewritten, but yeah, the image quality is poor, and there's been no previous attempt to transcribe them or to like text encode them. So yeah, and there was like something like, I think she said 10,000 pages that had to be dealt with, or maybe up to 40,000. Anyways, it's like yeah, this was closer to 40,000 pages, I think is what she was saying. And so needed a system that would be able to pull, like correctly read and excerpt out the text from these documents into text files, which would then be cleaned and then used probably for a large language model AI project. So anyways, that's the new project. So we're still in kind of early testing stages for things, but yeah, it gives me a chance to learn about setting up a large language model, a local large language model for, but also how to work with the existing scripts that Microsoft Azure provides. Yeah. Thanks. Thanks, Roller, for the hydrate.
I could eat anything right now.
Hey, thanks for passing on the Red 5 high. EG, thanks for the hydrate. Alright, so the real question is, how much coal do we really want to carry with us? This is currently 16 kilos. We don't want to carry around that much. Let's drop 14 here. Now we're under 50. I think that's a lot more manageable. How many do we have left? 42? Still a lot of coal, but gonna warm up our teas and then fly on down. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's basically what they said is like, well, the Azure cloud-based AI system, you can actually create an account for free, um, and they give you a certain amount of credit to work with to test things out. It really isn't too bad. Okay. But yeah, I think the thing I love most about my job is that I'm paid to experiment and to explore and to learn. You know, they want me to spend my spare time researching and experimenting with different tools. And partly it's so that, you know, that way I familiarize myself with a wide range of tools and platforms and software that's out there in programming languages. But it's partly so that as clients run into issues, I'll be familiar enough with those systems or platforms or languages that I can at least help troubleshoot. Um, but yeah, they were very impressed with my troubleshooting skills when I was diagnosing what was going on with. They had migrated 2 WordPress sites, and something had happened in the course of the migration where certain features, certain aspects of the websites weren't displaying properly. And due to, and it's still happening, due to some issues with granting me VPN server access. So there's like the location of the
Never thought I'd die from starvation.
WordPress installations is they moved that to a different server and then required a new VPN approach to accessing it, but then for some reason that new VPN server won't allow me to connect. And it could just be me, except for the fact that it's also not allowing my boss to connect either, so. Ooh. So yeah, maybe tomorrow I'll spend a little time looking into how to write a chatbot, a Twitch chatbot in Python. I'll do a simple one first and then figure out how to expand it into having some more cool features or maybe some sort of a mini game of some sort. And then eventually grow it to something that's maybe a more marketable bot. Free taco's free taco, right? Yeah. Like, things I'll have to figure out is there a limit? Is there an upper cap to complexity or length for a chatbot? You know, do they... Okay, there's more keys over here.
I need to find some place to escape this.
Yeah, largely it depends on where it's run. I'm almost certain that it has to, the code has to have everything inside of it. Can't rely on, I'm guessing that you can't have any, well, I don't know. If we write it in Python, we'll probably have a few more options. I was just thinking, like, it's running somewhere.
Come on, little fire. Come on.
Yeah. So it really depends where the codes run. So those are things I have to research and see what that looks like. We have all this extra coal, so we might as well just use it. Alright.
Where can I find something to eat?
So I think I have a number of projects for my week back home. I think working on an update of my JavaScript RPG generators. I don't think I'll finish it, but I think that's one little task. Working on my Twine game, which is overdue. I've neglected that for almost a year now. So that's definitely something on my list. And then working on some sort of Twitch chat bot that I can offer out there.
I can't feel my
It does
hands.
something fun. Interesting. Why did that not help my... Did it turn cold when we drank it? It turned cold when we drank it. Versus... Yeah, I wonder how complicated we can make the bot.
Come on, little fire. Too cold. Perfect.
I don't recall if we checked this guy already. Might as well check it. Would you like to see a TLD roguelike? Or a TLD... Yeah, well, probably not a roguelike. TLD, mud. But a simple interactive fiction game. Or not even fully an interactive fiction game, just something that has... Well, I think you could do something where it mimics or that set of encounters. I think where it gets problematic is like if you decide that you want things to... Well, I don't think you can make things last past one session. Because that would require actually storing data in files. Which I don't know if you can do for a bot. I think... Well, maybe.
Starting to feel numb.
Yeah, I'll have to do some research and figure out what the limits are of what it could do. So what would seem like plausible or feasible. And what might be fun. Gameplay is always the important thing, right? You have to make certain the core mechanic is something fun to do.
Damn it. I'm so hungry.
Ooh. What would the bot be called? Scruffy? Jeremiah? The long bot? Sketchy. Sketchy, yeah.
Getting weak. Gotta warm up somehow.
Okay.
Come on, little fire. Oh, yeah. That's a good one.
Okay, let's put some forage on here. No shot. No shot. Okay. That no shot or no shot. Trying to figure out moat combos, but tired. Okay. Okay, let's keep going. I can tell I'm starting to get tired now too. Okay, we've got another half an hour to go. Push through. Tomorrow I'll clock in some time on my transcription project, and then I think I'm going to clock in some time on working on a Python chatbot. Okay, Laszlo. Yeah, get some sleep. I know, I should probably do that too. Yeah, like I said, there's a chance I might be on late tomorrow night. An hour later than usual, maybe. I don't know. Depends how long my meeting with my composer runs.
My God, eat soon.
Yeah, we could call it Astrid. That would be a good bot name. But Sketchio also sounds totally appropriate. Okay, I think we're going to stay in Burnt Ridge Cave when we get there. I hear crows, so I assume we must be getting close to point of disagreement. Oh, what's that? Is there a bear? I think this is close to where the bear's at. Probably should pass on it. Don't know if I want to get into a bear fight over that. If we're going to get into a bear fight, we pick the bear that's closer to the bunker. If he's working. If he's not working, then just have to focus on some Timberwolf Mountain bears. It's interesting, we walked all this way and we have not seen any wolves. Okay. Oh, I'm sleepy. Oh, we hear the pterodactyl. The pterodactyls. See, look how tired I am. Pterodactyls, not ptarmigans. I like them. Yeah, we just need to gather some feathers from the pterodactyls. Yeah. It's more work than we expected, right? Ptarmigans and pterodactyls. These things are not the same. Okay. I can hear crows. Well, since we're coming this way, then let's not stay at Burnt Ridge. Let's stay at Picnic Cave. Picnic Creek, Mystery Creek Cave. Pterodactyls? Yeah. Okay.
Wait. I'm so cold. I'm warming up a bit.
Oh, that's all the way back at the church. Pterodactyls. If pterodactyls existed, then we'd have to believe in Big Tarma. Big Tarma. Always out to get us.
Perfect.
Oh, food.
Come on, little fire.
Come on, guys. Let me light this fire. Or not. Guess we'll just keep pushing forward. Yep. Okay. Need to warm up our teas again. We're going to dump off a bunch of coal here, which we don't need to carry around with us. Come on, work.
Come on, little fire.
Okay, we can warm up here. Okay. Well, you know what we could do? We could do it this way.
This pack is getting too heavy to carry. It's dusk, so I can't be far behind.
Hey, we can move decently now. Let's go sleep in the cave.
I'm not going to be able to carry this load for much longer.
Is that the way we came up? Let's see. I'm going the right way? No, we circled back. Okay, that's what I was thinking. This doesn't look right.
Jeez, this is cold.
Here we go. Okay. Just get Astrid ready for bed, and then get myself ready for bed. Oh, I did promise you guys a bedtime story, so I might read part of the bedtime story. Okay, let's see here. Oh, you want bedtime story? Okay, we'll do that. So I think I mentioned this before, like last stream. I wrote this as a present to friends of mine when they had their first baby and their first kid, and they're the husband's my old D&D DM when I was living in Los Angeles, so an old friend of mine. Wife is I know the wife's family as well, and so and the wife's family is pretty geeky as well. So I figured, okay, I'll write something for them. And their kid, their baby was named John, so I thought, okay, I'll write something for John. I'll write a kind of a fantasy themed kid story that would be entertaining to read. So I wrote that. Okay, let's see. Let's finish this up. Let's see if we can make some food. Do we have anything left here that we can make? I think we're out of porridge options now, so that's that. I can take some fresh torches. Yeah, what shocked you growing up? No. You thought it was a kid's book. Well, it was for adults.
I can barely walk with this much gear.
Alright, so what do we got here? We've got porridge. Yeah, let's eat one of these. And we'll eat some of these. Ah, wrong. Oh well. I'll take that. We did need the improved rest. Okay, so let's see. 10 hours of sleep. That's very nice recovery. Good job, Astrid. Okay, so what was I going to say? We are on day 30. Day 30 it is. Okay, so backtrack. I guess we're missing that whole path. PV. Okay, there we are, day 30. So yeah, so that's good news for us. We didn't go quite as many days as last stream, but we did well. And I think we're going to go up to Timberwolf Mountain and we're going to make a rush for gold mine next time. So, but before we go, we're going to read something, and we're going to read something different. This is The Littlest Orc. So this is The Littlest Orc, and this is a little story. We'll see. Children's story. Once upon a time, there was a tall and sparkly kingdom filled with tall and sparkly buildings where tall and sparkly humans lived. But this is not their story. Next to the tall and sparkly kingdom lived a small mountain village of orcs. They were not tall and sparkly at all, at least not sparkly. They were tall and prickly and had big tusks on their faces. They loved making big messes, eating big meals, singing very loudly, and dancing on tables. Although they acted mean and tough around others, the orcs were actually very nice when you got to know them. Some had prickly orcish names like Bork and Dingdork and Futhork, but others chose human names and went by Zippy and Clang, Clash, and Thunder. One ambitious orc even insisted on being called Reginald Arnold Turgerider. All the orcs were big and strong. All day long they pulled trees out of the ground, pushed big stones up hills, and carried water in buckets to empty one lake and then fill another. At noon they ran races to see who was the fastest. At dinner they tried to see who could finish their meal first. When they stood in line, they always stood in the order of their height. Everyone tried their hardest to be a little taller. Zippy was the fastest orc, and also pretty good with a needle. Clang was the loudest and played drums in a band. Clash wore the ugliest clothes. Bork cooked the tastiest meals. Reginald Arnold Turgerider knew the biggest words. Futhork wrote the longest poems and liked to recite them before dinner. Thunder, the heaviest orc, made the most noise when he walked. Even Dingdork, the doormaker, despite being the slowest orc, was actually good at something and played the triangle in the orc orchestra. Everyone had a role and a thing they were best at. Everyone, that is, except the littlest orc, John Orc. John Orc was so small that he only came up to the knees of the other orcs and could fit easily in the palm of the gigantic Thunder. John Orc's hands were too small to carry anything big. His legs were too short and stubby to win any races. His head was too round to balance anything on it. When he tried to tell a joke, the words would always come out wrong. John Orc had such tiny tusks that the other orcs would laugh at him and say that he was really a human child and not an orc. All this made John Orc very sad. He wanted to be tall like Bean Pork, or have mighty tusks like Musk Orc, or have a really long name like Reginald Arnold Turgerider. Instead, John Orc spent his days coming in next to last in the races. He was still faster than Dingdork, and doing his stretching exercises to try to make himself taller. At the end of every year, on a bright winter morning, all the orcs in the orc village would gather together for a party. Every orc would bring a present and put it in a pile in the center of the village square. It made a very big pile. It stood at least 5 orcs tall when they were done piling all the gifts. The village chief would hold a special competition to see who got to choose the first gift. The competition had 3 different challenges, each more difficult than the last. John Orc never won any of them, but he tried his hardest anyways. This year, there was a single large hut set up just outside the town. The village chief said the challenges were all inside. It was very mysterious. John Orc could hear strange noises from within, like the shuffling of feet or the rumbling of thunder when he had an empty stomach. One by one, The orcs went into the hut, and one by one, the orcs left, shaking their heads. Everyone said it was too hard. Some came out with scratches and bruises. Some left wheezing and out of breath. Some only stuck their head in and gave up right away. When John Orc's time came, he stepped into the hut and he saw the challenges written on the wall. 1. Make the bear laugh. 2. Make the bear fall asleep. 3. Leave a different way than you came in. In the center of the hut was a very large bear with a bright red collar and very brown eyes. The only light in the room came in through a tiny window in the far side of the hut. The bear looked a little frustrated and upset. It must have been a very long day for the bear. John Orc looked around and saw some of the things the other orcs had tried. Board games and playing cards, books filled with terrible puns, some juggling pins and balls. In another pile there was an orc-sized maid outfit with a feather duster, a fireman's suit, makeup and hats and silly-looking dresses. None of these things had worked. The bear looked like it was afraid of big, angry-looking orcs. Lucky for John Orc, he wasn't very big or very angry-looking. What could be done? John Orc looked at the bear. The bear looked at John Orc, humphed, and looked away. John Orc picked up the duster, then stepped closer. The bear paid no attention. No attention. John Orc stepped closer again. John Orc was so close he could hear the bear breathing. It was a worried breathing. The bear looked at John Orc again. John Orc wiggled the duster. The bear looked curiously at the feather duster. John Orc stepped closer. This went on until John Orc stood next to the bear, well within its grasp. John Orc was so close, he could see now that the bear was actually quite tired and looked a little sad. The bear only looked very big at first because John Orc was afraid. But now John Orc could see that the bear was a little smaller than he thought. John Orc raised his arm and placed the feather duster against the bear and wiggled the duster. The bear let out a small giggle. John Orc continued tickling. The bear started to laugh, a very bearish laugh. Grrr, har, har, grrr, har, har. John Orc continued tickling, and the bear curled up and kept laughing, and now it was laughing so hard it was crying. Grrr, grrr, grrr. Soon the bear was worn out from laughing and fell asleep. John Orc rubbed behind the bear's ears. Its fur was soft and gentle. The bear began to snore. John Orc left the feather duster with the bear and started to look around. The window was high up the wall. It was just out of reach, but John Orc knew what to do. He stacked the joke books and pun books together. He put the board games on top of the books. He put the fireman's helmet on top of the games. It was a very flimsy tower of things and wouldn't hold much weight. But lucky for John Orc, he was a very light orc. Then he climbed up the pile and reached the window. He pushed it open. It was a very tiny window, but lucky for John Orc, he was a very small orc. When he crawled through the open window, his tiny tusk did not get caught. When John Orc landed outside, he heard a great cheer. All the other orcs gathered around him, and the village chief congratulated him. Hooray for John Orc, they all shouted. Hooray for the littlest orc. Hooray for the bravest orc in our orc village. And so John Orc, the littlest orc, became known as John Orc the Brave, and was honored as the kindest, cleverest, and bravest of the orcs. And he was. For how many of us, when faced with danger, could step forward and embrace it, and tickle it behind its ears until it falls asleep in our arms? So John Orc lived very happily ever after in the village of the orcs, as the smallest, but not the least, among them all. The end. There you go. So the littlest orc. Orc Orchestra was one of my favorite things that I came up with for that. So that's Tormuse, you're coming in late. That's it's the littlest orc. It was a children's story I wrote for friends of mine when they had their first baby, and my friends were like D&D nerds, fantasy nerds, and I was like, you know what? I got to give them. I'm a writer. I'll give them something special. And so I wrote them that. I was inspired to write that. Um, yeah, and then I've thought about, like, is it possible to adapt it to turn it into something that could work as a children's book? I feel it's kind of, there are parts of it that I would say yes, and parts of it I would say no. One of the big problems is that it's a long lead up to the introducing of the main character, who's John Orc. We have all this world building, which takes up almost a third, close to half of the story, which is all fun. But I think, like, traditionally, I would be introducing the main character within the first page, right? So I don't know, and I could see, like, other stories set, like, in a similar fashion. It would be fun to write more of them, but they're a little bit unconventional in terms of their setup. But who knows? Maybe there's a market for it. Yeah. So the Littlest Orc, one of my favorite little projects that I did. Okay. Opera coming to you soon. No. Be pretty funny, but no, I don't think we're doing an opera of John Orc. The Littlest Orc. Okay, so I think that's it for us tonight. We'll be back probably late tomorrow night because of scheduling conflicts, but let's figure out who we can go raid. Thanks again, our muse, for dropping by. We should do some shout outs here while we're here. Shout out for Slinger, and shout out for Kashik Life Day Choir. Oh, maybe. Where is everyone tonight? I was just looking, and someone else just wrapped up their stream. Okay. Well, I guess we could go visit J. Generic. This person has 13 followers and only one viewer, so let's go support. Oh, yeah, sorry, I think I accidentally... Yeah, I think I had accidentally muted the computer audio, because when I go looking for Twitch streams, I don't want that to play over while I'm doing it. Sorry, we'll do that better next time. So, but we'll drop in on this new person. I don't know anything about them, so, but they're a TLD player. Yeah, so we're gonna bring our crew over, visit Janeric, I guess. Janeric, maybe. Okay, so we'll head on over. Thank you all for hanging out. Thanks for listening to my little story for tonight. And we will be back, I'm hoping, tomorrow night. If not, it'll be Thursday night.